there are topics we barely talk about. Not because we're not allowed to, but because they scare us. Death is one of them. We know it exists, but most of the time, we pretend it doesn't. As if we just don't look at it, maybe it won't look back. Not long ago, I remembered a scene from the show The Sandman. In it, death wasn't cold or frightening. She was warm, almost kind. And she said, "I've never understood why people are afraid of dying. It's so natural." At first, I didn't pay much attention, but later, that line wouldn't leave me. Why is that? Why are we so afraid of something that happens to everyone? Birth is a chance. You might be born, or you might not. But if you are here, one day you'll leave. It's not a punishment. It's part of the journey. Like fall follows summer. Like night comes after day. Death isn't a failure. It's part of the design. But if death is so natural, why are we so afraid of it? We don't fear it because it's close. We fear it because we almost never think about it. But every now and then, a news headline, someone else's loss, or just a quiet moment, death finds a way to remind us. And in those moments, something tightens inside. Not because it's here, but because we're not ready to face the thought of it. And in that moment, it becomes clear. Everything we do, everything we stay silent about, everything we keep putting off, it's not endless. It's not the end that's truly frightening. It's the thought that we might never really start living. And still, we're afraid of it. We look away. We stay quiet, as if not thinking about it might somehow make it forget about us. So, what is it that we're really afraid of? First, the unknown. We don't know what's waiting for us, if anything at all. Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's nothing. We're not afraid of the dark. We're afraid of what the dark might be hiding. Second, unfinished business. The things you didn't get to do. The words you never said. The promises left hanging. The conversations that never ended. There are people who count on you. People who are still waiting. And the fear, it's not about dying. It's about leaving in the middle of a sentence. Third, attachment to life. No matter how hard it gets, we hold on because there's still joy in it. The warm light in the morning, a familiar voice, the sound of rain, laughter, coffee, music, hope. To leave means letting go of all of that. Fourth, the fear of being forgotten. Sometimes we're not afraid of death itself. We're afraid of living a whole life and then disappearing without a trace, without a memory, without a what comes after. But maybe the fear of death isn't really about the end. Maybe it's the fear of emptiness on the inside. The fear that when the time comes to look back, there won't be anything real to see. Death isn't just an enemy. She's a critic, silent, honest, and unrelenting. She doesn't take anything from you. She simply shows you, look, this is how you lived. These were your moments. Here's where you stayed quiet instead of speaking up. Here's where you stepped back when you wanted to move forward. Death is a reminder you're not forever. And that shouldn't scare you. It should wake you up. Because it's the fact that life ends that gives it meaning. If life were endless, what's the rush? Why forgive? Why take risks? Why fall in love? Immortality is comfortable, but it strips our choices of meaning. Death sets the frame, and that frame is what makes the picture of your life feel real. One day I'll die, and so will you. And there's nothing we can do to change that. But until that day, we still have so much we can do. We can speak. We can feel. We can choose not to stay silent when something scares us. We can live in a way that lets us look at the picture of our life without shame, because death doesn't scare the ones who truly lived. So maybe that version of death from the show, the one with the gentle smile and kind eyes, maybe she was right. It really is natural. Sometimes, death is a kind of test, not about what you know, but about how honest you've been. Not with others, but with yourself. Were you where you wanted to be? Did you say what needed to be said? Did you truly live? Or were you just hiding? Maybe what we should fear isn't death itself, but the idea that it might come and change nothing. That it shows up and life never even got started. That's the part worth fearing. Life isn't a rehearsal. It's a one-time show, no retakes. And death doesn't offer a second chance. She doesn't ask if you're ready. She just comes. But that's exactly what makes every right now matter. Death teaches us to pay attention to words, to touch, to moments. She doesn't take away love or friendship or creativity. She reminds us how much they mean. Sometimes we ask, what's the meaning of life? And we rarely realize the question only exists because life has an end. If there were no final chapter, there'd be no reason to look for meaning at all. Death is the boundary, but meaning lives inside that boundary. It's in what we do before the end, in what we leave behind, in how we live between the first time and the last. I don't know what comes after. No one does. But I do know this. Right now is all I have. And in this now, I want to live in a way that when the end finally comes, I can look at the picture of my life and simply say, yes, this was my life. And I truly lived. Death is inevitable, but she's not the enemy. She's the last one to hear our story. So let's make it a story worth telling.